just check the circle of your friends. The people around you, the more time you spend with them, I don't care who you are, you're going to become like them. We're not talking about acquaintances. We're not talking about friends at work. We're talking about our circle of friends. The friends in your life are shaping the future of your life.
Do you have those people in life that appeal to the worst in you and not the best in you? And whenever they connect with you, they bring you down to where you were before?
Who do you allow to be in your ear? What kind of relationships are you developing? Are they an asset to you or they are a liability? Do they elevate your spirits or do they tear you down? We get two types of people, nourishing people and toxic people. Nourishing people, they bring the best out of you. They encourage you, they inspire you, they hold you accountable. Toxic people, they are critical people, always telling you what you can't do. They're always measuring your possibilities based upon their failures. They don't know what's possible for you. My mother said, never let anybody tell you what you can't do, son, especially if they haven't done it. So as you begin to look at yourself, begin to identify the relationships that you communicate with most and say, hey, is this relationship helpful to me?
Loyalty has an expiration date. The problem is, it's when you're the nice person, your loyalty lasts far longer to certain people than it should, because their loyalty to you has been expired. But you being the good person, you hang on to friendships and become forgiving far longer than you really should be. Loyalty has an expiration date.
Something in front of you, strong enough to give you the courage to let go of the system behind you. I know you're gonna get scared and run back every now and then. We already admitted that, but I want you to understand that what God thought about you is truer than what you thought about you.
Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you asked God for. You just gotta quit tripping while you're in the process, because the process is necessary. You may not see it now, but when he gets you on the other side of it, you're gonna see exactly why it went that way, and you're gonna be okay with it.
I must be inclined that it's somebody who's holding back on a decision, holding back on moving forward, and you're holding back because of fear. Fear of being rejected, being replaced, fear of people that you want to accept you won't accept you. When fear controls you, your decisions become illogical. And it's a problem because God is not the author or the generator of fear.
You need to learn to think, because thinking makes you act effectively in the world. Thinking makes you win the battles you undertake, and those could be battles for good things. If you can think and speak and write, you are absolutely deadly. Nothing can get in your way.
Trying to handle heartbreak, it's so important that we understand there has to be output to our life. Listen to me, if you're broken, don't take a break. Don't let the person who didn't love you stop you from meeting the person who will love you. See, what the enemy wants to do is the enemy wants to isolate you. And the enemy wants you to find some valley, and he wants you to camp out in that valley and say, nobody understands me, and nobody knows how bad my heart is broken, and nobody gets me, and because nobody gets me, I'm gonna go and do this thing all on my own. But I have come to remind you that that is a lie from the pit of hell. That is simply a reaction. And if you're ever gonna rebuild, it's gonna require to share with one another and walk through it together.
I'm going to make it. It's possible. Your dream is possible. Say that to yourself every day. Feed your mind with words that you write and words that you speak to yourself. Feed your faith, and your doubts will starve to death. It's possible. It's possible. Even when you have no evidence to point to, say to yourself, it's possible. There's nothing as powerful as a made-up mind. It's a struggle sometimes to do that, especially when you have people around you telling you that it's not possible. and they're constantly pointing out your failures of the past, constantly reminding you of all of the things that you don't have going for you.
Trust is reliance, or to rely on God's integrity, to lean and to rely on God's ability. It is a confident expectation of something. Who or what are you leaning on in the midst of hard times, in the midst of lack, in the midst of hurt? Who do you lean on the most?
I cannot tell you to let go of a system and not have something to hold on to. After all, this is all you ever had. This is what I'm familiar with. Even if I'm familiar with something that's killing me and hindering me and dwarfing me and retarding my growth, it's my normal. Even though it's not normal, it's my normal. It's my normal.
There's a battle of two systems here. It's the system of God and it's the system of this world. And you're going to have to choose. And I have chosen the system of God over the system of the world. Anything that's working in the world, it came from God.
I got my new system on Monday and Tuesday. And Tuesday night, I relapsed and I got my old system. And Wednesday morning, I said, no, we're not going together no more. And I put it down and I go back and I get my new system. And then some scar scares me and I go back and I get my old system until finally I develop the ability to trust my new.
Life seemingly does not wish to waste success on the unprepared. Life says, why waste a fortune on this person? They're not prepared to do the right things with it. They're not prepared to use it wisely. So not only look for fortune, not only look for the promise, but prepare yourself and ask of yourself, what can I do to make myself ready?
Trying to handle heartbreak, it's so important that we understand there has to be output to our life. Don't let the person who didn't love you stop you from meeting the person who will love you. See, what the enemy wants to do is the enemy wants to isolate you. And the enemy wants you to find some valley, and he wants you to camp out in that valley and say, nobody understands me and nobody gets me, and because nobody gets me, I'm gonna go and do this thing all on my own. But I have come to remind you that that is a lie from the pit of hell. That is simply a reaction. And if you're ever gonna rebuild, it's gonna require to share with one another and walk through it together.
Life was designed not to give us what we want, not to give us what we need, but life was designed to give us what we deserve. It says those that give, receive. Someone says, I wish to receive, I wish to receive. You don't have to concentrate on receive. Just become a good giver. It says those that search will find. Someone says, well, I need to find some good ideas to help change my life for the future. Then to find good ideas, that doesn't come because you need them, it comes because you search for it.
How many marriages have ended because of social media? Your grandparents that's been married for 30, 40, 50 years did not have social media to contribute to the dysfunction of their marriage. We are growing up in a technology age where communicating and social networking has went to a whole nother stratosphere. So technically it's became even more challenging to be in a functioning, healthy marriage or relationship.
And I want to walk you down the road until what he thinks about you begins to hit the ground and you become seed to the sower. And people are glad to see you coming because God is going to make bread out of your life. You've been crushed, you've been pressed, you've been pulverized, but God said, I'm going to make you nourishment. I'm going to make you strength to somebody.
If he was through with you, you would not wake up in the morning. He gonna fix it. But now, God can't give you what you want because you want to hold on to what you got. You all in the way. It's a simple process. The only reason I'm telling you this, because this is how I made it. I just do me. I stay uniquely who I am because God made you uniquely who you are. He wanted you to be just like you are.
How easy is it to get up in the morning when you know you're not doing all that it takes? It's not very easy at all. You can just lay there awake thinking, oh, what's a few more minutes in bed? It won't matter much anyway. Wrong. It does matter. It will matter. Now, how easy is it to get up in the morning when you're pouring it on, doing the best you can, anxious to get going, make progress toward your dreams? It's a whole different story. When you're resting to renew your reserves, it's much different than resting to avoid your day. When you're psyched up and excited for your life, when you're excited for what you've planned to accomplish for the day, it's amazing. You'll wake up before the alarm clock even tries to startle you awake. Your successes fuel your ambition. Your successes give you extra energy. Your successes pave the way for more successes. It's the snowball effect. With one success, you're excited to meet another, and another, and another. And pretty soon, the disciplines that were so difficult in the beginning, the disciplines that got you going, are now part of your philosophy. How do you know when you're successful? Do you have to be a millionaire? No. All we ask of you is that you earn all you possibly can. If you earn $10,000 a year and that's the best you can do, that's enough. God and everything else will see to it that you're okay. The key is to just do the best you can. If it's $10,000 a year, wonderful. If it's $100,000 a year, wonderful. If it's $1 million a year, wonderful. It doesn't matter $10,000 a year or $1 million a year. It doesn't matter as long as you've done the best you possibly can. Earn the most you possibly can. Be the most you possibly can. And here's why. The essence of life is growth. The essence of life is growth, to do the best you can. And here's what's interesting. Humans are the only life form that will do less than they possibly can. Humans are the only life form that will settle for less. Every other life form except human beings strive to its maximum capacity. How tall will a tree grow? Approximately. As tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No, trees don't grow half. Trees send their roots down as deep as possible, stretch their limbs up as high as possible, produce every leaf possible and every fruit possible. As a matter of fact, you never heard of a human physically growing half. We keep growing until we're done. Now that's a part of life we can't control.
Find out who you're associating with. If those people add something to you, if they give you something in return, or is it all just a give and take, meaning like they just take and then you give? That's a bad relationship, man. Get the negative energy out of life. These people that you're around, they're always complaining and everything else. They're taking part of your soul. You only have so much to give every single day. Why waste it on that, guys? You gotta love yourself in order to love somebody else, guys. You gotta be whole and happy with who you are if you can never help somebody else out. People say, oh, it's selfish to just care about yourself. Well, if you need some fixing and reworking, it's not selfish, because you can get yourself better and then be able to really lend a hand in an honest way to somebody to really help them out.
I want you to ask yourself, do I love myself enough to give myself permission to go after what I want? Like, do I love myself enough to exercise this weekend? Do I love myself enough to study that extra hour? Because when you can start saying yes to loving yourself, you start to realize just how far you're able to go. And I wish people knew that the ability to succeed, it's all inside of you. It's never been hidden. It's just you love yourself enough to let it out. The best version of yourself is so beautiful and so amazing. And yes, people may not accept you all the time and they may hurt you, but I don't want you to keep that in, because you were meant to be a certain type of person, and there's somebody out there in this world who needs to see you for who you are.
The growing of our minds, the expansion of our minds, that we can control. And that's what tends to get away from us. All life forms inherently strive to their max except human beings. Now, why wouldn't human beings strive to their maximum possibility? Here's why. Because we've been given the dignity of choice. It makes us different than alligators and trees and birds. The dignity of choice makes us different than all other life forms. And here's the choice: to become part of what we could be, enough to get by, or to become all that we can be. My best advice for you is to choose the all. Earn all you can, make all the friends you can, read as many books as you can, develop as many skills as you can, see as much as possible, do as much as possible, make as much fortune as possible, give as much of it away as possible. The max. There's no life like it. I'm telling you, once I got on track, I've never looked back. Pick up the challenge. Go for it. Take the best of the two easies. Take the route of it's easy to get ahead. It's easy to do all you can. It's easy to succeed. It's easy to have financial freedom. The more you do, the more you get. So the two primary benefits of positive reinforcement are, number one, to build good habits, and number two, to create more energy to fuel your ambitions, your desires, your achievements. How can you isolate what's working for you and what isn't? How can you make sure that you are reinforcing your positive disciplines? Well, if it isn't apparent, easy to see right away. If what you're doing is happening in such small increments that you're not sure if you're on track, then you need to be writing it down. You need to keep a journal anyway. But if you really aren't sure that what you're doing is making measurable progress, you need to keep a written record. You need to write down everything that may be relevant in your day. What you did, who you saw, what you felt, how it may or may not affect you now and in the future. The best way to track your activities of the day is to write them down. The best way to track your activities of the week is to write them down. The best way to analyze your progress through the year is to have written it down. Why? So you can look back on it. Because by keeping a written record of your life, you will be more accountable. By putting into writing the action steps that you have planned, you will easily see what works and what doesn't. Most people just try to get through the day, never writing anything down, never keeping track of their progress along the way, never really knowing if they are doing all they can to reach their goals, to drive their ambition. But gifted people learn to get from the day. They don't let a day end without picking up some valuable experience, some emotional content, some idea that may positively affect their future. To get the most from a day, to learn the most from a day, you need to be able to reflect on the day. And how can you reflect on a day unless you record it in history?
When a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, gets its wings, it doesn't just have the ability to crawl faster. It comes into a whole new dimension, from crawling to flying. When you get your wings, you're not going to just be better at what you can do right now. God is going to catapult you into a new dimension. Things are going to happen sooner than you thought. You're going to discover gifts, talents, creativity that you didn't know you had. Where you think, where did this come from? You got your wings. That's God taking you places that you could never go on your own. There's going to be a preparation period between the time God puts the dream in your heart and the time that it comes to pass. It's up to us to pass these tests, to be willing to go through the pregnancy, the uncomfortable season when we don't understand it. We're doing the right thing, but we're not making progress. This is when many people give up on their dreams. They were anointed, but because they wouldn't go through the preparation process, they never gave birth. They never saw the appointing come.
To every person in this room who's had a struggle, who's had some tests, who's got some creative ideas, but you've gone through some really tough stuff. The stuff you've been through, don't pay it any attention. It is just a sign that the baby is coming. You're on the verge of birthing. You're about to give birth. The baby is coming. The baby is coming. The baby is coming. You don't want to leave me now. The baby is coming.
When you're pregnant, the baby is developing on the inside where nobody can see. In those tough times where you're uncomfortable, you're doing the right thing, but the wrong thing is happening, something is developing in you that you can't see. It's getting you prepared. And this is the reason many people never give birth to what's in them. They don't understand the process. God will put a dream in your heart. He'll give you the anointing, then he'll send you back to the shepherd's fields. The appointing will come later.
Anybody who left you is going to miss it. They're going to miss the greatest part of you, the greatest part of your destiny, the greatest part of your creativity. It took everything you went through yesterday to get you ready for what you are about to do today. You are standing on the verge of a great awakening, or you wouldn't be here. If I'm talking to you, make some noise in this place.
You have to think. You can't just feel. You have to think. You know, even when you're taking care of kids, part of what you're doing is being compassionate. But if you're too compassionate towards your kids, then you do everything for them. And if you do everything for them, then they grow up useless and they never leave and they hate you and they hate everything else too. It's a bad idea. Treating your children like they're endless permanent victims is a very bad idea.
Age excusitis is a failure disease of never being the right age to succeed. It comes in two forms: I'm too old or I'm too young. How many times have you heard someone say, I'm too old to start a new career now, or I'm too young for all that responsibility? In fact, how often have you heard yourself say it? This excuse has closed the door of real opportunity to thousands of people. They think their age is somehow wrong, so they don't even bother to try. And, unfortunately, we live in a society that seems all too ready to reinforce those stereotypes. On any night on TV, you can see old people put out to pasture and young people biting off more than they can chew. These statistics we read in the paper continually tell us how hard it is to find a job when you're 60 or when you're 19. But the fact is, for every statistic and every dramatization of these so-called problem ages, you can find real-life exceptions to the rules. Ronald Reagan was elected president just prior to his 70th birthday. Harlan Sanders was collecting Social Security checks when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. Satchel Paige was playing professional baseball well into his 50s. But he didn't talk about his age. On the other end of the age spectrum, Apple Computer was started by two young men in their 20s, and the founder of Federal Express thought up the idea for his express mail service when he was in college. So age is no barrier. It is just an excuse. If you think you're too old to change or too young to accept the challenge, here's a cure.
Look at your present age positively. Think, I'm still young, instead of I'm too old. Remember, you're capable of handling any responsibility you believe you can handle. Second, keep this computation in mind. Most people can expect about 50 years of productive working life, from about age 20 to about age 70. If you're 30, you've still got 80% of that productive life ahead of you. If you're 40, you've still got a big 60% of your working life to go. If you're 50, you've still got 40%, at least 20 years of productivity, and that's plenty of time to succeed. Finally, invest your future time in doing what you really want to do. It's only too late when you let your mind become negative and tell tell you it's too late. Stop thinking, I should have started years ago, because that's failure thinking. Instead, think, I'm going to start now. My best years are ahead of me. That's the way successful people think.
I don't know if I can do this job. I mean, this is really out of my league. I'm not a genius, you know.
I think the most insidious of all the excuse diseases is intelligence excusitis. It's the feeling that I'm not quite smart enough, or other people know something I don't. Unlike the other maladies we've discussed, people tend to suffer this one in silence. Nobody wants to talk about how dumb they feel, but they feel it deep down inside, and it blocks their road to success. Most of us, you see, make two basic errors with respect to intelligence. One, we vastly underestimate our own brain power, and two, we vastly overestimate the intelligence of other people. Because of these two mistakes, we sell ourselves short, and we fail to take advantage of many opportunities. Some years ago, Dr. Edward Teller, the famous physicist who's called the father of the atomic bomb, was asked what a young person needed to know to become a successful scientist. Teller said, I quote, "A child does not need a lightning-fast mind to be a scientist, nor does he need a miraculous memory, nor is it necessary that he gets very high grades in school. The only point that counts is that the child have a high degree of interest in science. Interest and enthusiasm are the critical factors, not intelligence." Another way of putting it is simply to say it's not how much intelligence you have that counts, it's how you use the intelligence you have. Let me give you another example. I was at a college class reunion a while back, and I met a fellow I hadn't seen for about 25 years. His name was Chuck. He was one of the brightest people I've ever met, and he graduated with honors. The last time I talked to him, he had a goal of someday owning his own business. So when I saw him at the reunion, I asked him, "How's your business going?"
Well, David, to tell you the truth, I never really went into business for myself. You know what I did? I used my college education to become an expert in why my business ideas wouldn't work out. Yeah, I learned all the pitfalls of businesses, all the reasons why you might fail. And, you have to be sure you have plenty of capital, the business cycle is right, you have to make sure there's enough demand for your product, the local industry is stabilized, there's 1,001 things to check out. So here I am today, I'm still auditing freight shipments and just plodding along, working for somebody else, and it's not really doing me a lot of good. And I see friends of mine from high school who went out right after high school, and they're doing successful business straight from high school. There's got to be a reason for that.
Do you see Chuck's dilemma? The thinking that guided his intelligence was far more significant than the amount of intelligence he has. If you study the world around you, you'll find a lot of highly successful people with very average IQs. And you'll also find a lot of failures who are brilliant. The difference is one of attitude. What are these people using their brain power for? To defeat themselves or to find ways to succeed? There's one more point I want to make before we summarize the cures for this disease of intelligence excusitis. Another common mistake that people make with regard to intelligence is to equate piles of facts with useful brain power. But it's far more important to use those brain cells for thinking and analyzing than it is for memorizing. Someone once asked Albert Einstein, "How many feet are there in a mile?" Einstein replied, "I don't know. Why should I fill my head with facts that I can find in 2 minutes in any reference book?" Einstein, as usual, was right. You can always find facts. You can't always find good, positive thinking. That you've got to learn for yourself. So here's a cure for intelligence excusitis.
So that brings me to the final step, that it's necessary for us to begin to look at the future and know that it's possible that we can have our dream. Yes, it is. Other people have done it, then we can do it. We fail a lot of times. Well, a lot of other folks fail, and eventually they came back and they succeeded. So it's possible we can have what we want. And we know that we want to get it. It's necessary that we align ourselves with people that think like we do. It's necessary we get negative, do-nothing people out of our lives. It's necessary we never stop learning and growing and developing ourselves. It's necessary that we never give up. We know that it's you, it's me. It's being responsible for our stuff and deciding that we're going to keep on keeping on, that we're going to find a way to win or find a way to make it happen. And we know it's hard. It's not going to be a picnic. Yes, it's hard. It's hard. And we will do it hard. And once we do it hard and we go through it, we realize it was worth it. And once you discover it was worth it, it is done. It's done. It's done, ladies and gentlemen, before it happens. Well, here's what I'm suggesting to you. That when you're working, you have a wall to break through. Let's say a friend of mine who runs a marathon, and he says, when he's running the 26-mile marathon, he said, let's say that hypothetically, that 18th mile is the wall. He said, Les, when you get there and you're running, he says, everything in you is telling you to stop, to give up. Every muscle is aching, and you're saying to yourself, I can't do it. I can't do it. And you just keep on, and you keep on, and you keep on. It seems like you're moving at slow motion, and then eventually when you break through that 18-mile wall, then you know it's like done, and you're on automatic, and you glide on in, and you know it's there. You know you're going to get to the finish line. And we've all had experiences where we were working on something, and we knew it was possible, and we did those things that were necessary to bring it into reality. We took the responsibility to make it happen. Other people couldn't see it. A lot of people didn't believe it. You were attacked. You were criticized. People were opposing you, but you kept on doing it. It was hard. It was rough. It was difficult. But to you, it was worth it. And eventually you got to a level you know, can nothing stop me now. I'm on the move. I'm on the move.
I recommended the last time I was here the little book, Richest Man in Babylon, and I said I've lectured now to over 3 million people in the last 33 years, and I've recommended this little book to almost all of them, I think. Guess how many have actually gone and got this little book? Answer, very few. My best guess is 10%. Such an easy thing to do. In that last seminar, right, I suggested this little book, number one, is easy to find. Number two, it's easy to buy. The most you can pay for it, $6, $7, $8. You can borrow that from your kids. And number three, it's easy to read. It's in story form. That's why I use it for teenagers, teaching them how to be rich by 40, 35 if you're extra bright, much sooner if you find a unique opportunity. But if it's easy to find and easy to buy, and if it's easy to read, why wouldn't everybody go get it? We don't know. What do you know? You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Here's how profound it is. Some do and some don't. Now here's the numbers. About 10% do. 90% don't or won't. We don't know the mystery of that. And I'm telling you, 10 years from now, those numbers will still be the same. 10% will, 90% won't. The numbers don't change. Only the faces change. You're looking at one of the faces. I used to belong to the 90% who couldn't be bothered even if it was easy. Guess how many people have a library card? Wisdom of the world available. Transform your life in any value amount you want. By the way, how much is a library card in Texas? Free. Here's what free is. Easy. I mean, it can't be any easier than free. Somebody says, well, would you bring it by? Well, no. At least you got to go get it. No. Wisdom of the world available. Transform your life spiritually, socially, personally, economically, and every other way. Teach you how to be rich and powerful and sophisticated and healthy, influential. How many people have a library card? Answer, 3%. 95, 97% couldn't be bothered. Guy specializes in happy hour, but he doesn't have a card. And now readily and quickly blames the government, blames his company, and blames policy, and blames the pay scale. When if he only knew, if he joined the 3%. Here's my advice to you today. Walk away from the 97%. Don't talk like they talk. Don't act like they act. Don't go where they go. Don't specialize in what they specialize in. Throw away the blame lists they cling to. Start you a new life. You say, well, is it as simple as getting a library card and join the 3%? And the answer is, of course. Of course. That's how easy this stuff is. This is so easy. It's so simple. It's not complex. You don't need a 2,000-year-old guru. You don't need multi-track affirmations. I'm telling you, don't. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. Don't let somebody sweep you into some contrary way to nature itself says, unless you labor. The miracle of the seed and the soil and the seasons and God and all the other stuff that's available, sunshine and rain, that's not available to you by affirmation. It is only available to you by labor. So labor well. Learn well. Discipline yourself well. And you can have all the treasures you want. This stuff's easy and simple. It's not ocean waves and seagulls. You don't have to move to Sedona where all the force fields come together in Arizona.
Well, when you make the decision to be successful, like I said earlier, and you have to expect there's going to be trouble. Life, okay, how can I say this to you? Listen to me. Life is 10%. Life is 10% what happens to you. It's 90% what you do about it. See, life is going to happen to all of you. I don't care who you are. You're going to lose a loved one. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be told no. You're going to fall. You are going to fail many times to become successful. It is a part of success. It is the process. You have to fail in order to be successful. That's the way it works. There's no other way. Listen to me. For 30 years, I made a lot of money telling jokes. I write jokes. Me, I don't care what you say. When I want to be funny, that is my God-given gift. I can be funny. But listen to this though. I done wrote a lot of jokes that wasn't funny. I have written some stuff that I thought was hysterical in my house. I was writing, I went, boy, when they hear this, they're gonna be screaming, yes! Went out on stage that night, did the joke, nothing. I mean nothing. I have written more jokes that did not work than actually worked. I have failed far more times than I have ever succeeded. Okay, see, let me show you. Okay, check this out. Okay, listen. Michael Jordan, who is like really the greatest basketball player of all time, right? Michael Jordan has taken 985 game-winning shots. That means before the buzzer, Jordan has raised up 985 times to try to win the game. Michael Jordan has only made 145 of them. He has shot the ball 980 some times to try to win the game. Michael Jordan has only made 140 game-winning shots. You don't care nothing about the failure. You don't know nothing about the 800 times he missed. But oh, you cheer and clap for the 145 that went in. You see, that is how it works, man. That is the magic of how it works. They're only gonna write about the victories. They only laugh at the jokes I write that's funny. You don't even know the jokes I wrote that didn't work because I stopped telling them. But you laugh at the movies and the YouTube clips. And you know, God has made me famous and I don't even know. I don't even know how. I just dreamed of one day becoming globally. You know what, let me tell you. I asked God to, about 10 years ago, I told God I wanted him to increase my global brand and persona. I wanted to be more global. I didn't want to just stay in the United States. I wanted to go see the world. I wanted people around the world to know of me. So God began to change me. So he said, you will have to be more than just funny in order for this to happen. So I did not know that my motivational tapes, the stories I've told about my life would go on a platform called YouTube. Because 10 years ago, what was YouTube? I didn't know. I just started telling my story and they started putting it on YouTube and Facebook and people started finding out more of who I was. So when I was asking God to increase my global brand and persona, I had no idea how he was going to really do it. Until 2015, they hired me to become the host of the Miss Universe pageant. That was God.
And by the way, I'm getting better and better and better at my craft. The larger numbers I run, the more I get more proficient at my message, the more I learn to close better. You with me on that? All right, so let's get to some keys and then I'll show you some stuff. Oh, you know what, before I do that, I need to convince you, some of you, Sam said, hey, not everybody there knows you. That's totally cool. This is a new market for me. All the stuff I sell is free. I spent the first 45 years of my life being blessed by great mentors, great guidance, great information. I decided I'm going to spend the last 45 years of my life, the second 45, helping other people build their dream. How many of you have a big dream you want to make come true in your life? Something special you want to do? Okay. Me too, and I got bigger ones. Let me tell you what everybody's dream is. Put in your note. I don't care if you sell pest control, security, solar, insurance. I don't care what it is. Guess what they want? You ready? And guess what you want? You want to be happier. You got to link everything to people's happiness. You think that's ridiculous. So I'm going to kill some termites. They're going to be happier. Yep. They think if you did pest control, at the end of the day, the greatest influencers get that people want to be happier. All of you want to be happier. You think if I become a millionaire, I'll be happier. If I get that baller jet, I'll be happier. If I'm making 100 grand, I'll be happier. If I lose 30 pounds, I'll be happier. If I protect my family with security, my family will be happier. People want to be happier. You think, well, maybe that applies to other businesses, but not mine. Really? You already aren't coaching. Listen to someone who's built some of the largest sales organizations. I built sales organizations, medical, financial. I built them in the retail space. I understand building teams. I understand persuasion. Everything is linked to people's happiness. You know why NBA players are playing basketball? They think if they make more money, take care of the mama, win some NBA championships, everybody will be happier. Every human does something to be happier. There's this dude who sold more hamburgers than anybody in the world. What's his name? Anybody know? Ray Kroc. He's also, his organization, most people don't know this, is the largest holder of acreage real estate on earth. He owns the most real estate in the world selling hamburgers. Guess what? He didn't sell hamburgers because his hamburgers sucked. You know what he sold? Happiness. Happiness. He got creative. What does a hamburger have to do with being happy? Absolutely nothing, except he created an environment where people wanted more hamburgers. People want to get recruited into teams to be happier. They think it's making money, but that's the symptom. The disease is they want to be happier. If you keep selling money all the time to people, just money, you're not going to have a very good team. But if you sell happiness, recognition, travel, success, income, all those things, that's what people want. What people want in every area of life is to be happier. You know what Ray Kroc's mascot is for hamburgers? A clown. A clown. Do you know what his #1 selling meal is called? The what? Happy Meal. Turns out I'm right, huh? Turns out I'm right. This dummy knows a little bit about selling, a little bit about influence. All these dudes you see in here that are hardcore with their hats on, these stud dudes in here, they want to be happier. You know what I know? When I was 21 years old and I started in this business, I wanted to be happier. You know what I want right now? I want to be happier. You know what I want in 20 years? To be happier. You know what I want for my family? Them to be happier. And I will buy products and join organizations that make me think I can be.